Hi, Brownies. I'm so excited to talk about first aid with you today. So, do you know what first aid is? If you do, think about it, say it out loud. Oh, I'm hearing a lot of really interesting things. Well, what I heard is that first aid is when you help somebody who is injured. Maybe they have a cut or a bee sting or a burn. So first aid is helping other people who need it. Now, we're going to talk about 3 different things to help you earn your first aid badge. We're going to talk about how to get help from 911 and how to treat different injuries you or your sister Girl Scout might get. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is how to prevent injuries you can get outside when you're on a walk, a hike, or camping, maybe with your Girl Scout troop. The first thing we're going to talk about is what to do in an emergency situation when nobody is sure how to help somebody who got hurt. So maybe you're at Girl Scout camp and somebody trips and falls and they really, really hurt their knee. And you want to help them, but you don't know how because a Band-Aid isn't enough for them. So what you can do is call people who have a lot more experience helping people who get hurt. So you can call 911. You have to tell them a lot of important information so they know how they can help you. So I want you to think about it. What do you normally tell somebody when you meet them for the first time? Go ahead and say it out loud. What do you tell someone when you meet them? When I meet somebody, I tell them a little bit about myself. I might tell them my name. We might talk about what it's like outside. And a lot of those things are the same things you want to say when you call 911. So when you call 911, somebody there wants to help you, but they need to know as much information as you can think to tell them. So a girl falls down the hill at Girl Scout camp and she hurts her knee. I could call and say, "Hello, this is Twig. It's very dangerous here because a girl fell down a hill and she needs help, but they need more information. You need to tell them what happened." So they'll say, "Twig, what happened?" And you need to say, "She hurt her knee very badly and she needs help." As many details as possible is what you want to give them. So now I want you to pull out your nifty fake phones like this and make a practice call to 911. And what happened is you're at Girl Scout camp and one of the girls faints. She falls on the ground and you think it's because she's dehydrated and didn't drink enough water. So a girl falls down because she didn't drink enough water and you are calling 911. Grab out your phones and tell them your name. What's your name? 911 operator, my name is Twig. Then tell them what happened, what's going on where you are. A girl fell down because she wasn't drinking enough water and she needs your help. And then they might ask, "Where are you?" "Well, I'm at Irvine Girl Scout Day Camp. I'm in the cooking area near the very large building." So tell them as much information as you can. Tell them who you are, where you are, and what the situation is. And then you can place a very good and effective call for help to help your sister Girl Scouts, your friends, or your family. So, when do you think you might need to make a 911 call? Well, you might need to make a 911 call if something happens and you don't know how to help in that situation. So if somebody really injures themselves by falling, or they seem really, really, really sick and none of the adults nearby know what to do, you can suggest, "Hey, maybe we should call 911. And then, if the adults agree that it's a good idea, you'll know the proper information to give in an emergency situation. The second thing we're going to learn about is how to treat some small injuries you might get. We are going to start by discussing one of the most basic and most important first aid tools, These are called Band-Aids. And as you may know, Band-Aids are very important because if I get a cut, all I have to do is open my Band-Aid like this, take out my Band-Aid, and then I can put it onto my skin and it will protect my cut from getting dirty. Now, you might be thinking, why does it matter if my cut gets dirty? And that's a great question. If there's a hole in your skin and there's nothing to protect that hole in your skin, all kinds of stuff will get in it just from you being around the house or outside, and that stuff can hurt your cut. So it's very important to wear a Band-Aid if you cut yourself. Now that we've learned about Band-Aids, we're also going to talk about what to do if you're dehydrated. Does anybody here know what dehydration is? I want you to think about that for a second. What is dehydration? Okay, so dehydration is when you don't drink enough water. Did you drink water today? If you didn't, you should go drink a glass of water right now. Water is so important. It makes up so much of your body. I don't know if you knew this, but your body is almost entirely water. You are 70% water, which is so cool. But what do you think could happen if you don't drink a lot of water? What happens to all of the water inside of you? Well, you lose that water, which is why it's super important that you always drink water to stay hydrated. So, have any of you ever been on a hike? If you have been on a hike, maybe you've noticed that one time your head started hurting and you were really tired. So, think about it. Maybe when you were hiking that one time or outside, you were dehydrated because you hadn't drunk enough water. When you go outside, it's so important to drink a lot of water so you won't get tired or have headaches, and so there won't be dizziness and confusion. It's very important to drink as much water as you can and to stay super healthy. So today at dinner, I challenge everyone to drink 2 whole cups of water. Great! The third and final thing we're going to talk about is how to prevent some very unfun outdoor injuries. Who here has ever been stung by a bee? Go ahead, raise your hand. I've been stung by a bee multiple times. So if you've been stung by a bee, you know it's very painful. It's not a nice thing. But what do you do after you do get stung by a bee? Well, you have to pull out the stinger that might be inside your hand or your arm or your foot. And to do that, you need something like a credit card or something you can use to scrape it off your hand. I could use something like this envelope to scrape it out. So if my bee sting is right here, I would just go like this. Scrape it off my hand, like that. And you might not want to use something like tweezers. And why do you think that is? What happens to the stinger when you use tweezers to squeeze it and pull it out? Well, what would happen is you would squeeze out more of the stuff inside the stinger that causes your sting to be painful. You don't want to do that. So instead of squeezing it so all the painful stuff comes out, you can scrape it off your hand and it will not be so painful. Awesome. The next thing we need to talk about is what you can do to prevent yourself from getting injuries when you're on your next hike. Like, for example, a sunburn, and how to prevent something like a plant from touching you and making you super itchy. So, for example, one type of plant is called poison oak. Another kind of plant is called poison ivy. It's important to remember these plants because if you touch them, you can get super itchy and get something called a rash. And a good way to remember if one of the plants you're around could cause you itchiness is this little phrase: leaves of 3, let them be. So if you see a plant that has very suspicious looking sets of groups of 3 leaves like this, if it looks like this, then don't touch it and stay away from that plant because those leaves of 3 should be left alone because they can make you super itchy. But you don't always know where plants are when you're hiking. You don't stop to investigate every single plant. So what can you do to make sure you don't get touched by those very, very, very itchy plants? What do you think? Well, I think what you could do is wear long sleeve t-shirts, unlike the shirt I'm wearing now, or wear pants that are very long, and wear long socks to make sure none of the skin on your leg is exposed. And why would that help? Why would covering your skin help when you're trying to avoid touching a very scratchy plant? You can say it out loud, share it with the world. Why would that help? Well, it would help because if your skin can't touch the plant because it's covered by a long sleeve or long pair of pants, then the plant won't make you super itchy and it won't make you in pain. So whenever you go hiking, remember to wear long sleeves and long pants. Now, what's really cool is that if you're wearing long sleeves and long pants, it also helps you for a second reason. So, have you ever been to the beach or outside and, your skin turned super red or it became super painful and was aching and stinging? Well, that might be because you got a sunburn. So you probably know what a sunburn is. It's just when the sun really touches your skin and really, really hurts it. And it's the same thing that you might notice with plants. If you cover your skin with a long sleeve shirt or long pants, the sun can't burn you there. But there's a second thing you can do other than wearing long sleeves, which is to use something called sunscreen. Go ahead, raise your hand if you've ever used sunscreen. I have many times. And I hope your hand is raised because sunscreen prevents the sun from getting onto your body. So if this is the sun and the sun is coming down on your arm, that sunscreen causes it to bounce off your arm and it doesn't hurt your skin. So sunscreen is so important to not getting burned. So those are some important things to remember. When you're outside, cover your skin if you're hiking. You don't want to get itchy plant scratches that can cause you to get rashes, and to wear a lot of sunscreen if you're in a super sunny area. Now, I hope this was a really helpful video for you, and I hope you, Brownies, have a wonderful rest of your day.